Okay guys, so I've been doing some consolidation and cleaning out on all my different computer systems, and I got the old Mac Pro and I thought, is there anything I can do with this old Mac Pro? It's still a really powerful machine. So I did a search on Google on installing a later OS on an old Mac Pro. And there's this guy, DOS Dude 1. This is his YouTube channel. He's got a web page and everything, a website, and he's written an automatic installer that allows you to install High Sierra or Mojave on unsupported Macs, and it works. It bloody well works. I'm now running Mojave on my early 2008 2.8 gigahertz 8 core Mac Pro, and everything seems to be working fine. Here's my little video diary showing me setting it all up, and then we'll talk a bit about it at the end. Okay, see ya. Okay, so I'm not getting out my professional camera for this, but here's my old Mac Pro, and here, come on, in focus, we are installing Mac OS Mojave. Well, we're going to try installing it. Okay, I'll get on with the installation now and see what happens. Well, just to show you, installing. So let's see what happens. Well, here we go. Has it worked? Is the question. What's happening? Oh my god. Right. What is it? What is it class? United Kingdom. British keyboard. Shut up, cat! Data and privacy. Blah blah blah. Right. I don't want to transfer any information now. Apple ID, I'm not doing that at the moment. Set up later. Skip. Terms and conditions, agree. Yes, I agree. Okay, I'll do that now, hang on. Okay, it's creating the account. Come on, get on with it. Continue. Express setup, allow maps and other apps and services like Find My... Oh, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, let's go for the dark theme. Ooh. Continue. Good God. Has it actually done it? I don't believe it. Oh, hey. Beach ball. Goodness me. Oh. Now, patch updated. New patch updates are available for this model. I think I'll do that now. But this is from the guy. This patch, the first one, software update patch, This patch allows, created by the guy, I presume who did this, or somebody working with him, allows users of macOS 10.14 on unsupported machines to update their systems to new releases of macOS X Mojave, and the night shift patch enables night shift on unsupported machines. All credits for this go to such and such a person. Okay, let's install both those. Here we go. Boom. Oh, hang on. There we go. Installing. They're tiny little patches. Let's restart later. Good God, so look. This apparently is, let's set my screen. System preferences. Come on. Display. Oh, default for the display. 1920 by 20. That's right. This is a 24-inch Samsung. Colour. Well, there's no profile for it. I'll leave it as it is. Now, bloody hell. I think it's worked. And there's the patch update of there. I don't know if that's part of Mojave, is it? I don't think I've got that on my... Have I got that on my other Macs? Hang on. No, so that must be something he's added, this patch updater. That patch updater there at the bottom. Anyway, there you go. Now the next thing, of course, to do is log into the App Store and get a copy of Logic on it and see if that all runs. And I've got the Apogee Duet to do that with this Firewire. But I can always try a USB device as well. Just to show you, there's the Apogee Duet. If you'll get in focus, there's the Apogee Duet listed as the audio input, and the same for the output. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get Logic installed now and then test it all out. I'm downloading Logic. There's a little thing there incrementing up. It's a bit hard to see, but it is doing it. The App Store looks completely different in this OS. So it's downloading. I mean, all the stuff I own is there. Seems to have done it. Look, I don't know if you can see it, but it says open there. So let's open. Okay, so you know, Logic is open, and it's downloaded the essential sounds, and now it's installing them. I'll tell you what, if this works, holy mackerel. Okay, so I'm loading up the demo song Beck Colors for Logic, and I've also got the standard Logic benchmarks here, the benchmark test, so we can see how. Now this is, you know, an older Mac Pro. It's got a regular SATA disk in it running at 7,200 RPM. It's not super fast RAM or anything like that, but we can see how it will fare in the benchmark compared to my iMac. Okay, see you in a minute. Before it was downloading the necessary sounds for that demo, now it's loading the actual project. Here we go, come on. Oh, oh. Oh, hey! Oh. And saving it, saving. It's copying all the audio files now to somewhere. I presume my default location for songs. Come on. I say it's not a super fast hard drive, but if this all works, then there's always the option to put an internal SSD into one of these things and just do the whole process again and install the OS on an SSD, and then any other hard drives in there, because remember these Mac Pros take 4 hard drives, can be used for backup storage. Right, here we go. Let's turn that off. Now I've got the audio preferences. The duet is set. Come on, get in focus. The duet at 128 samples for the buffering. Let's see if it plays. Here we go. Yep. Look, I'm obviously wearing headphones. I'm not going to connect it up to speakers because it would mean I have to wire cables. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this on the headphones. Hang on. Playing all right. That's incredible. And look at my processing there. This is the 8-core machine. That's a reasonable sized project. Not huge, but okay, let's do the stress test. Now, if you don't know the Logic stress test, it puts an EXS sampler and a Space Designer and a few other plugins on each track, right? And then it's just how many Space Designers basically can it handle. Okay, and this gives, there's a thing online where you can see all the benchmarks that people have put, and this has been going on, going back nearly 10 years, maybe more, maybe slightly more. So let's give it a go. It gives you this bit of lead in, and then you get hit with the processing. All right, let's see what happens. Let's go with my CPU meter open here. Come on. CPU meter, there it is. Right, here we go. Bam. It's a bit graphically glitchy. My playhead is jerking around like buggery, but my cores are not being stressed. And still, what's the buffer size? And I'm doing this while it's running. My buffer size is still 128 samples. Well, graphically it's pants. It's jerking all over the place, the playhead, look. Don't know if you can see that. But anyway, let's open up some more tracks. Let's go up to 32. That's 32 tracks. Well, we've got 32 tracks, and it's at about somewhere between 60 and 75%. Let's open up a few more. Come on. My machine is going very glitchy though, like graphically. No, still going. 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 52. Well, 52 and it's still going. $60. Holy mackerel. Well, okay, I'll stop there. 60 tracks. Well, here we are again, and there was an issue with the playhead staggering along, which you saw in the other video clips, but I installed the legacy driver patch, which you do from the there's the software updater tool, and then now the playhead is working fine. Look, smooth can be. Everything seems fantastic. So, there you go. Let me just hang on. Yeah, the patch updater's here, but this is different to the one that used to be on the dock, and now I did some updates. The patcher is not on the dock here anymore, and it gives you a different interface to this. So let me just see if it's in applications, utilities. Hang on. Let's have a look. Utilities should be in there because. Come on. No. Oh yeah, there it is, patch updater. It used to be on the dock. Then I did an update and it wasn't on the dock anymore, so let's put it back. Come on. There you go. Patch updater, right, so you open that and it says view installed updates. It tells you, you know, look, no updates, no new updates are available at this time, and then, I don't know if you can see that, and then show updates. Now when I first did, after you install the operating system, you are supposed to go back in to the USB drive and select the post install patcher, and then you select your Mac model from the list and it shows you the recommended patches to apply. I didn't apply the legacy video card patch. Okay, it isn't ticked by default when I select my machine, which is a Mac Pro 3.1. So I booted back into the USB stick, ran the post installer patcher, right? And then I chose the Mac Pro from the list. It optioned all the recommended patches, and then I ticked the additional legacy video card patch, ran all that install, rebooted, and now the playhead's absolutely fine. Look, you hit stop and it goes straight back to the beginning. Bam, it moves around, no problems, no glitching, nothing. Everything's absolutely fantastic. That was the only graphic problem. All the meters were flickering nicely, and the compression ratio, dynamic range reduction was flickering away on the little thing there. It was just the playhead that was staggering along, but something else has happened as well. The mouse is smoother now, much smoother, and the other thing is, let's just hide that, and the other thing is, if I go to my system preferences now and I go to displays, now if I go to the color, it lists the sync master as a color profile, whereas that wasn't there before. So now everything's fine. Now I've patched that video patch in. Absolutely brilliant. So there it is, a 2.8 8-core Mac Pro running Mojave and the latest logic, all 100% legal. And I can go to the sound. I've downloaded the essential sounds, but I can open the sound library manager, and I can now option to install all the additional content. And I've got the whole thing here to relocate the sound library and everything. It's all running great. Can't believe it. So there you go. So there you go. An old Mac Pro 8-core 2.8 gigahertz machine running OSX Mojave and the latest version of Logic 10.4.6, all 100% legally on a machine that Apple doesn't technically support to run Mojave. It's just incredible. Everything's working 100% once I put that video patch on. And this of course means now that we've got an option to run a Logic-based studio super cheap. Because the cheapest new Mac you could buy to set up a Logic Studio with would be the cheapest Mac Mini at about £800 British. But the 2.8 8 core that I just showed it all working on, you look in your free ads where you live, and I've seen them as cheap as £180 British pounds. But typically they go for somewhere £200 to £300, which is bloody cheap. They're incredibly powerful machines, and it's just so stupid that Apple sort of built the obsolescence in by not allowing them to run later operating systems, because they've got tons of power. I mean, you saw it running 60 tracks on the Logic stress test, and it still hadn't bummed out at 60 tracks. Well, the Mac that I'm doing this video on now, this bit of the video, my iMac, it's the last of the non-5K iMacs from about 3 years ago, 3.4 gig i5 quad-core processor, and on that I get about 56 tracks on the stress test before it bums out. But on the Mac Pro you saw then, I was getting 60 and it hadn't bummed out with the buffers set to 128 samples. And by the way, if you're new to all this, that doesn't mean that 60 tracks, if that's where your Mac bums out, is the maximum tracks you can run. The way that stress test works is it puts an EXS sampler playing a pattern through a couple of plugins and a space designer on every track, and the space designer uses a lot of CPU for a Logic plugin. So the idea is you just run as many tracks as you can, and that gives you a benchmark of how much CPU your Mac can cope with compared to other machines. So you'll get way more than 60 tracks when you're running it as to do compositions. And then the other thing, of course, is not only are the old Mac Pros super cheap, they're massively expandable and configurable compared to the options that you've got available from Apple now for a new machine. They can take 4 internal drives. You can upgrade them to an SSD drive. You can still get the memory for them to upgrade the memory. They've got 4 internal drive slots. If I remember rightly, out of the box, these old Mac Pros can configure 2 of the drives in the internal drive base in RAID formation. If you want to do that, to do a RAID backup, a mirror backup. And then you've got all the card slots to add cards in. You know, you can run multiple monitors off these machines. They've got Firewire, they've got USB. Okay, it's USB 2, but I'm sure you can get a card to put inside the Mac Pro to give you USB 3, which means then you could get access to ultra cheap, very large capacity USB 3 external hard drives. I mean, they're just so expandable and so powerful, but yet so cheap secondhand. And really, you know, look, I'm one of those people, I'm a bit of a Luddite. I don't like it when I've got to do all really complicated stuff. I expect things to work out of the box very easily, and if they don't, I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to do this and do that and do this stupid thing and that stupid thing and get into all this ultra technical stuff. I mean, I can do it, but I don't like doing it. But the thing about this guy's patcher is it's really not much harder than installing an OS. If you can install a Mac OS on a machine from scratch, you can use this patcher. It does the whole process for you. Everything's automated. It's incredible. And so installing the update to get the latest OS on there is just easy peasy. And if we go to the guy's main website here and look, come on, he's got a Catalina patcher, a Mojave patcher, a High Sierra patcher, and a Sierra patcher. Which all work the same as what I showed you. I use the Mojave patcher, and then he's got a few other softwares he's written as well. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So we can now set up a latest version of Logic and run a Mac Logic Studio on a super cheap second-hand Mac Pro machine, costing no more than a cheap Windows laptop. And there's plenty of them around. So if you buy one for a couple of £100 and it bums out in a year, buy another one. You know what I mean? Okay, I hope that's useful. Any comments? Leave them in the comments below.